You're listening to The Blatino Nerd. Uncut, uncensored, unfiltered. Get dirty and keep it nerdy.
Hello, members of the Nerd Herd, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Blatino Nerd. I've got a good one today. I feel really good about this one. This is a very exciting episode, and I think you guys are going to love it too. But before I get into that, I have a little problem I'd like to bring to you guys' attention. Scenario, if you will. So you start your car, and the maintenance light comes on. Your schedule is already busy, and you have that report due tomorrow. Or maybe you just want to relax and enjoy the day off without having to go anywhere. Wouldn't it be nice if someone came to you and serviced your car? Well, now you can finish those priorities or binge watch The Umbrella Academy and have your car serviced all in the same day when you use Midnight Speed and Sound, a mobile repair service that comes to your home or work. They perform everything from oil changes to full engine replacements on lawnmowers, tractor trailers, equipment, boats, RVs, electric vehicles, and everything in between. They serve New Jersey and the bordering counties of New York and Pennsylvania and come highly recommended from all over based on Facebook and Google reviews. And now I'm going to hook you up. My listeners can save up to 20% on their next appointment when they visit www.msas.tech and mention the Blatino Nerd and their appointment notes. That's Midnight Speed and Sound at msas.tech. So joining me today, I have a very, very special guest. You may remember her from the hit TV show Medium in the early 2000s. She played the adorable and very precocious Bridgette DuBois, and she has actually become quite a friend of mine, and I have her here today. Joining me is Maria Lark. How are you, Maria?
I cannot complain without sounding entitled. Life is pretty good.
I love that answer so much.
Oh, I use it to death. And my friends are very tired of hearing it. So whenever I meet someone new, very exciting.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So, let's get right to it. So how did you actually land the job on Medium?
I mean, like most happy things, it was a complete accident.
Really?
Yeah, so essentially, when I was like 4, my mom, my godmother got a ad in the paper that was saying that they were looking for little girls to be in the movie Signs, which is what Abigail Breslin eventually landed the role. And so my godmother sent in my picture, and they called my mom. And they said, "Hey, she should come in and do a reading for us. She looks super adorable." I was 2 feet tall and had really platinum blonde ringlets, and a big ass forehead. So, people thought, yeah, this could be Mel Gibson's daughter. And, so they gave me the material, and it was all talking about her mother dying. And I was 4, and I started reading it, and I was saying it out loud, and I started freaking out because I was like, no, I don't want my mom to die. So my mom, I know. I'm still a sensitive little thing. It's just, I'm 3 feet taller. And so my mom called them and was like, you know what? This isn't for us. We're not going to do it. 2 years later, my mom gets a call saying, hey, someone told me I should meet your kid. And we were living in New York City, and it was a talent manager.
Right.
And my mom was like, no, I don't really think this is for us. And the talent manager said, well, one commercial would pay her private school tuition for an entire year. My mom said, what time do you want us? Um, and so I went on like a handful of auditions, and I landed a music video with Nora Jones for her song Sunrise. This is like
Wow.
deep 2002.
I love that song.
I am the sun and the moon.
No
Going,
way.
ooh, ooh, that's
That
me.
was you?
That was me. That
Okay.
kind of Gerber baby-esque thing.
So, fun fact. Um, for about a year and a half, my daughter was obsessed with that video. I would have to put it on when she woke up. I would have to put it on in the middle of the day. I would have to put it on before she went to bed,
That is crazy. I
which I
love
re-
that.
which I really didn't mind because I'm a huge Nora Jones fan anyway.
Mhm.
But she was so obsessed with that video, and it got to the point when she wasn't even watching the video, I would put the song on, and there would be that instrumental break, and she goes, "This is the part where the flowers are dancing."
Yes, those
And
really creepy, trippy
yeah,
flowers.
and we would be in the car. And my wife was like, "What is she talking about flowers dancing?" I'm like, "This is the point in the video when the flowers are dancing." And she goes, "Holy shit." I was like, "She remembers that."
I love that. Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
I was the sun and the moon. They had to paint my hair and face gold, and then they had to scrub it all off, and then they had to paint it silver. And all I can remember of that is just being so upset because, I don't like being poked and prodded.
Right.
And I was like 5 years old, like 5 or 6 years old, and I was like, this isn't super fun. Um, but the experience was overall great. And it's so weird to look back at that video and just see my little face just glide across the screen,
Next time I watch,
forward and backward.
next time I watch the video, now I have to point it out to Haley and be like, "Hey, you know who that is?"
That's so funny.
That's amazing.
Um, yeah, but so then we went on a couple more auditions, and we just happened to end up in the room for Medium. And, they auditioned girls in New York and Toronto and LA, and they settled on me. Next thing we knew, they said, yeah, we might be doing a pilot in Los Angeles. Um, Fast forward 7 years later, and it was a whole series.
Yeah, which is a great series actually, and I would say like I call it like probably one of like the underrated gems. I call it like one of the underrated gems of like television history.
Well, it's so weird because I grew up watching everybody work so hard on it, and I got
Right.
to see a lot of those decisions and a lot of those um, all the behind the scenes work. I was always really really close with everybody in production, and the cast, but there are more people and there are more jobs and there are more exciting things going on in production than a lot of people realize.
Right.
And I'd never really watched the show. I read pretty much 90% of the scripts, including all of the drafts that we would go through
Hmm.
as we produced a single episode, which could be as many as, uh, you know, I think the biggest amount of drafts we had was 12, and the
Hmm.
smallest was 5. So it's a real work in progress. Um,
That's amazing.
right? And so I was actually just hanging out with my mom and my aunt, and Medium happened to come on. And so we sat down together and watched an episode like 2 weeks ago. And it
Hmm.
was like, huh, like it's weird. It's like if
Right.
someone videotaped you riding your bike, right? Like learning to ride a bike. And
Right.
then they turned around and they televised it. You just feel kind of like, huh,
And like that was a thing, huh?
yeah, like, huh.
And I know for like to be so young and to pretty much have your like your life at that point be under a camera
Mhm.
had to be had to be quite the experience, I'd imagine.
Well, it's weird because you get used to it so quickly.
Hmm.
Like it feels so natural. And you don't really, or at least I never thought of it as acting until I was maybe, I don't know, 10,
Right,
which is like season 4.
roughly.
Yeah.
Right,
Season 3, season 4. And I was like, oh, this is like a career. People work on this. This is, um, my mom always ran lines with me and coached me, but I just kind of just did it. And then as I got older and I started needing to put more thought into it and really start to I think, hone that craft, um,
right,
it was just a process, I think, of realizing that things are much more complicated than they appear, which I think is something that all young people grapple with at some point or another,
right.
um, about life in general. But yeah,
That's awesome though. But I watched the show originally. Like I watched the show during its original run. My mom and I were huge fans. And a few weeks back, we discovered that the entire series was on Hulu because, throughout quarantine, we've been finding TV shows to watch. And, my wife was more, she would come home from school, do her homework, and just watch her favorite movie. Now, me, I'm like the big TV watcher. Not so much anymore. Like the limit of my television now is like wrestling and Shark Week.
very
But
similar.
yeah, absolutely. Um, but I was the big like TV watcher in high school, so there's not a whole lot of television shows that I haven't seen.
Mm.
So I go, oh, they have the whole series of Medium, and my wife goes, what's that? So I explained to her the plot, and she goes, she lives for anything paranormal, supernatural, or anything, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
well, this is a different twist. It's not quite paranormal. It's not like she spends the whole episode like. I was like, it's a fun little twist. She instead uses like her clues from the dead to solve crimes, as opposed to be like not exploring like haunted houses and things.
Hmm.
And she goes, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And we started watching it, and I think within 2 weeks we blew through 5 seasons.
Wow.
And she goes, I can't believe I've never seen this before. And I'm like, I'm rewatching this. And it's funny now because we go back and she goes, oh, this person's in this episode. I'm like, this person's in this episode. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't notice that the first time around either.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, it's crazy. Like we had J Law twice. Jennifer Lawrence came in twice. Emma Stone came in, and we had Angelica Houston. We have Margot. Oh my goodness. Oh, she's just been nominated for an Emmy with her work on Americana, and she lives actually in my town.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, out here in rural Connecticut. But
That's amazing.
yeah. But it's weird. It's weird to be like, oh yeah, wait, this is actually such a cultural touchstone,
Yep.
and I was a part of it. I was a you know
A big
principal
one.
part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like we're finally now in the final season,
Mm.
and we she goes, I've been watching the show for a few weeks now, and she goes, I can't put my finger on it. She goes, there's one character in particular that looks so familiar, and I'm like, I'm assuming you mean Davalos. And she goes, yes, that's Miguel Sandoval for you guys listening at home. And she goes, why do I know him? And I was like, think back. what is your favorite movie ever? Think back to the very first scene. And she goes, was he in Jurassic Park? I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
I love Miguel. He is one of my favorite people. He is just so funny, such a teddy bear, and always he and his wife have always been so kind to me. There was no one on that show who wasn't kind to me, but I mean, he really made an effort.
He seems like even on the show, like even when he's trying to be a hard ass, he seems like he's having so much trouble being a hard ass.
He's just a good guy. That's the best thing about him. I mean, seeing him in Station 19 and seeing that character was so funny, so weird. That's just Miguel, who will speak in Spanish to me sometimes and make me a sandwich.
Makes me get a sandwich. That's
You
so
know,
good.
oh,
That's so good.
make great sandwiches. I love Miguel.
But yeah, it's crazy to think that that show like now, and I've read somewhere that like it's like considered like a cult hit, and I was like, but that was a launching pad for so many people. Can we really call it a cult hit?
You got me there. I just like we survived being canceled, which
Yeah,
many celebrities are having a hard time doing.
yeah. But
Yeah, I'm here all week.
love it. But yeah, it's crazy to think about now. So I guess my next question would be, how much of a resemblance, like how much of a parallel is there between Bridgette DuBois and Maria Lark?
I would tear around the production floors of our studio all the time. I got really into like quarter collecting, so I would like run around to everybody's cubicle and be like, "Hey, do you have any quarters? I'm collecting quarters." And then I would just make a lot of money taking everybody's spare change. Or uh, there were dogs on the top floor, and I liked to go and visit them and play with them. And so the writers got to see a lot of me just being a kid in a completely adult world, which I think sometimes Bridgette DuBois did a lot as a character.
Right,
Um, and so there's an episode in like, I don't know, season 2 or 3 where Patricia Arquette is chasing me with a hairbrush, um, trying to detangle my absolute uh,
right,
dreadlocks, and I'm screaming, "She's gonna cut my head off!" Um, and I was super tender-headed and squirmy, and a kid. And I hated having my hair brushed. Little things like that would make their way in.
right.
I'm still a smartass. I'm
That,
still
that I've seen.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still sarcastic and sensitive. Just like seeing the way that I think Bridget was written in terms of the way that she would speak with other people is kind of weird. It's a little uncanny sometimes because I think I'm 23 now, and I've gone through a lot of growth and a lot of change, um, and kind of seeing those precocious but selfish or like poor impulse control things that like an 8-year-old does, and having that evidence to know that, oh yeah, that's where that was.
that's where that
I
comes
went through
from.
that.
Right.
Yeah. um is really really quite fun.
One episode that comes to mind is the episode where Bridget keeps getting in trouble for drawing naked photos of her teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I promise I've never drawn a naked photo of a teacher. um yeah, I don't think of a person either. I don't know, but things like that. I think were partially due to the writers' imaginations, but
Right.
like I think Bridget's determination that no, this is important. You need to pay attention to this is
Right.
very much me. Um, but I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that in one of the episodes, one of the kids developed a speech impediment because someone in their dream had a speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what episode or season, but because I hadn't thought about it. And I thought about how when I'm nervous, I tend to stutter quite badly sometimes.
Right.
And I just had like a cosmic bitch slap for a minute where I was like, did I internalize a stutter as an anxiety response? when I was,
Holy shit.
I was like, please don't talk to me for like 10 minutes. I need
It's a reset, if you will.
I need a break. I will talk to you later. This has been great. Thank you for ruining my life.
That's great.
Mm.
I, I guess one of the things that I liked about Bridget DuBois, or just the DuBois family in general, that aside from the whole being able to see the dead thing, which passed on to all three children, like that's
Yeah.
amazing. And poor Joe just having to maintain some sense of normalcy because his wife and all of his children are talking to their dead friends, and he's just like, I
Poor Jake
swear,
Weber.
yeah.
For 7 years, he just had to act bewildered.
I I have to admit that Jake Weber was one of the main reasons. Like, I mean, obviously Patricia Arquette, because like ever since I saw Little Nicky, I've had an
Oh yeah.
obsession with Patricia Arquette.
Oh, she's
So
the best.
when I found out she was the star of the show, I'm like, okay, I'm on board for this. But Jake Weber was kind of like a celebrity man crush of mine,
Dude, that's so fair.
and so I was like,
Like he
okay,
was my dad, but like looking back on it, I'm like, he is attractive. So I saw him in another show. I saw him in oh my god. Is it Easy on Netflix?
maybe I
Well,
do know he is in another show, but I haven't.
yeah. Yeah. But he sleeps with a character and the whole time I'm thinking, that's not my mommy. You need to go apologize. I
That's
was
great.
like Alison Dubois would be so upset with you right now.
But
Like, you cannot sleep with anyone who is not my mommy. It was just like really
just. I'm sure, and that makes it worse. I'm sure all the Dubois children have seen this before you did it. For shame, for shame. But I
that's how you get canceled by your entire family.
oh yeah, right. Like
And I was like, I know you're lying. I know it. We all know it. We were all there in the dream. So
you
sucks
wake
to
up
be
like,
you.
well, why is no one talking to me? And then it finally happens, and you wake up, you're like, oh shit, there it is.
Like months in advance. Everyone's like, "Oh, Dad's gonna cheat on Mom. It's happening."
You scumbag. I'm ashamed. But I've always enjoyed that. Again, aside from the paranormal aspect, they're like a super relatable suburban family.
Yeah, I mean, like the love has always been there.
Definitely.
Was always there. Um, I mean, those people we would see each other every day, for most of the day for 7 years. And like Patricia has kids, um, Jake has kids, and everyone on the crew, a lot of them have children or families. And when you spend more time with someone else's kid than your own, just because you're working, I think you really do make an amazing long-term bond.
Right. That's great though, because and I can tell it's like there are some shows or like there are some shows and some movies, and I love to pick these things apart. Like
Mm.
I can give you a friggin' dissertation on why I think Cloverfield is one of the worst movies of all time.
Oh, yes.
I pick things apart. But one of the things that I always enjoyed about that show in particular is that the chemistry between all of you just felt organic.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's just when you get um, such masters of their craft in a household uh, set like Patricia and Jake. I mean, it's just it comes.
Right.
You raise the kids so that they're not afraid of the camera, and then you just kind of let it go.
And
You
just
know,
let them go nuts, yeah?
yeah. I mean, I remember my first scene with Patricia and Jake. I was in their bed, and Patricia like wakes up in a huff, and I go, "Mommy, you gotta stop doing that." Just like fresh from New York, and um, the her thing always was, "Look at me," um, to get me to stop looking at the camera or to get my attention because you're a kid, it wanders.
Absolutely. That's such a
Yeah.
mom thing to do to like
Oh, she was
steer.
so good at it too, because she would be like, "Look at me," and then she would snap right back into character.
Right.
And oh man, that was so cool to watch.
The dynamic between Bridget and Ariel is one I
Oh,
can relate to because I'm an only boy
right,
and I have six sisters.
right.
So depending on who you ask, it's like my older sisters would tell you that I'm like the greatest thing that ever happened to them, and my younger sisters are like, "Well, you let Jordan get away with murder," which isn't true because to hear me tell it, my younger sisters, get away with murder, and me and my older siblings are like, "Yeah, we're definitely the only normal children our mom had." But one day I came in the house and I remember, and she's probably going to kill me for telling this story, but I came home and I guess my baby sister and my mom were arguing, and I had just come in the house from work. And she goes, "Well, it's obvious that some of us get better treatment than others, and you let them get away with whatever they want." So I go, "I just fucking got home. Leave me alone.
Oh no.
I didn't even do anything. I was like, I just came home from work. It is 2 a.m. Why are we even having this discussion?" And then my mom just steps in. She goes, "Stop it, both of you." I was like, "Me? I just came home. She's yelling at you, not me."
Wow. No, I mean, Sophia and I, we were like oil and water. Like, I loved pissing her off. I love that.
Okay,
I,
so that's
oh,
why that felt so real.
I was the worst. I would like fart on her things. Like,
Oh
but
man.
she's great. Um, we met up at a medium reunion party. We were like, and I was like, I was an asshole. And she was like, yeah.
Oh
It was
my god.
very cleansing for the Dubois sisters to have like that moment.
Well, that actually just answered my next question. I was going to ask you if
Yeah.
you had actually spoken to any of them since.
Oh yeah. I mean, um, I've so the medium bunch, it's mainly put on by the crew, and people like Miguel Sandoval, um, who have really started every couple of years pushing for reunions. And so
Right.
whenever I'm in LA, I try to go, and they try to hold them every other summer.
Right.
And it's awesome. It's awesome to see everybody, 10 years. after.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's actually, well, I guess I would know that because I wasn't on the show, but that's awesome that you guys all still try to,
Yeah, it's sweet. Like several of them um follow me on Twitter, or anytime we see each other on Instagram or Facebook, it's always glad you're doing well. How are you? Blah blah blah. And it's so good. I love those guys. I mean, they um are like uh next set of parents for me,
right.
So yeah, it's good to see each other when we can.
That's amazing, and that's very refreshing to hear because you
Mhm.
hear so many horror stories like you know I won't name any particular shows because I don't need anybody suing me or coming for my ass, but you hear after the camera stopped rolling, they all just kind of walked off, and then that was
Yeah,
the end of it, and this person's like, "Ah, well, whatever." And then you get the few cases where this person wants more money than everyone else, so they're like,
right.
"Yeah, we're
It
not
just
going to do it."
ruins it. Just makes
Yeah,
it a toxic work environment. No, I mean, we were really, really good. I mean, as much as I saw that it was always just about coming in, doing the work, and having fun. Like our gag reels were really fun, or we took like Halloween very seriously. Like everybody would get these like elaborate costumes, or we would prank each other. Um, it was fun. And um, no, learning that that is so rare or even just uncommon is crazy to me. Um, I've never really quite um gotten over that, and I think that's a good thing. And so much of that has to do with our producer of the show, Ronald Schwery, who just passed away
oh,
about a month ago.
oh
And
man, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, and he was so special to me and so special to every single person on that set. And um, it's really, I think it's brought us all back together a little bit, just
Right.
to catch up and check in. Um, and it's very special to know that those bonds are still so tight. I mean, we retained most of our crew and all of our cast from season one until we finished.
Which is amazing and also
It is
super rare.
very. I mean, most productions just have people in and out. It's a revolving door. Um, but I mean, we had people who said, "Yeah, I want to stay here. I want to be part of this community."
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. That. Wow. I'm like tearing up a little bit because like, oh,
Oh,
that's so awesome.
oh, that's sweet.
So this is a personal just kind of thing I've been wondering as a good big fan of sleepwear. Bridgette DuBois and those PJ combinations.
Okay, so that is the pure work of a costume designer by the name of Michelle Reedy, a wonderful family friend of ours. And like we would go out for dinner with her and her daughters
Right.
um, after work all the time. She's awesome, and just she had such an eye for patterns that were exciting but wouldn't act too crazy on HD cameras, because we made that switch from film to digital
Right.
digital HD. And so she really had
Uh,
to kind of shift what she was doing a little bit. Um, but yeah, oh, I love those PJs. Like there's a pair of like these silky um owl PJs.
yeah.
Or I took most of my pajamas home
I was
after
actually
the
going to
show
ask if you
wrapped.
kept any of them.
Yeah, oh yeah, I did. And then
Nice.
I outgrew them because I hit puberty. So but I kept them as long as I could. And I still have tons of t-shirts. Like there was an episode or I think it was like half a season arc where Davalos was running for district attorney, and so they made all of us, um, you know, Miguel for DA T-shirts, and I wear that all the time.
That's amazing. Miguel
Yeah.
for DA.
Or
Love it.
all of our rap shirts that we would get at the end of every season.
Right.
I still wear all those as much as I can. They're great, and I'm never gonna get rid of those. So
That's good. That's awesome.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't wear them out, but I do wear them at home. It feels kind of weird to like have
Wear
them
them
for
up
the
like
show.
you just imagine you're like wearing one out and you get that one person who doesn't recognize you. It's just like, hey, I remember that show. Where'd you get that shirt?
Yeah, just like online.
Yeah,
Someone
eBay.
sent it to me. Um, I don't know. It feels like like wearing a family reunion T-shirt outside of the family reunion.
Yep.
Yeah, like just a little like,
Like, you wouldn't get it. Sorry. This is
yeah, just
awkward.
the Joker meme where you're just smoking. You're like, you wouldn't get it. Yeah, bunch of normies.
But so yeah, and I know you retired shortly after the show ended. Was it like was it a thing that you had subconsciously thought about, or just by the end of it were you just like, you know what, I just kind of want to go live a life?
It was a combination of things. I was 13,
Hmm.
and I kept getting asked to come in for roles that were um, bully roles or that were um, about being fat or about being weird. And for like a 13-year-old self-esteem, um,
Yeah.
and the way in which I was typecast um, was just really kind of unpleasant. And I figured that I could do something else that I liked better, that didn't make me feel bad about my body or uh, feel like I was, typecast as a bully. Um, and it was a change. It was good. I fell in love with literature, and I decided when I was 15 that I wanted to be an academic. I liked acting, I did, but I
Right.
didn't love it enough for,
To make it a thing.
yeah, to really go for it. I mean, seeing what's going on in Hollywood now and how there is more diversity and there is more complication in characters, is exciting, but it's not enough,
Right.
to pull me back in.
Right. I hear you. Now, is there a role out there that you have ever thought about and you're like, that would be the one that would get me to maybe consider this again?
I don't know. I mean, the idea of like coming back even for a medium reunion episode is kind of cute, but my thing is like if I can be a Funko Pop, I would love that. Just like as a personal um goal. I'm like, no, I want to be this little vinyl figurine that's going to sit on some nerd's desk for the rest of their lives. Um
And now I'm going to post this episode and just tag Funko. Like,
oh,
hey,
please.
medium pops, this needs to be a thing,
Oh
please.
my God, a medium pop would be so cool. I would buy all of them. I would lose my entire shit. Like,
I actually just pre-ordered a bunch of pops today,
oh
and
yes.
my wife doesn't know, and I mean, she's definitely going to find out after she listens to this episode.
Oh no. I love pops. I think they're so stupid. They're pointless to have, but they make me happy.
Absolutely, and it's funny because I bought like a handful of pops
Hmm.
here and there. Like there would
Hmm.
have to be specific ones. Like
Yes.
I think I have all the Pitch Perfect pops
Wow.
because
Yeesh. I love it.
I love that movie, and
That's fair.
I only just recently got into them again because my wife took an active interest in them.
I love it. I watched their documentary and I felt like I was being invited to a pyramid scheme and it worked.
You know what? That's perfect. Pops are the world's most successful pyramid scheme. They're right
Yes.
up there with LOL dolls.
Oh my God, they're awful because you're like, oh, but they have this character. Oh, but if I buy like a bunch of them, I might get like a rare variant of them. I might get a chase pop.
My
Oh,
my favorite pop. It's so far, this is my
mm,
favorite pop of all time.
oh,
My wife has it. She's a big fan of the Brady Bunch,
yes.
so she
Marsha,
has
Marsha, Marsha.
so she has all the Brady Bunch pops. And we were curious because they released all three of the boys in one shot, but then only Marcia, Cindy, and then Alice. So we were like, "Where's Jan?"
Yeah,
Maybe they're doing that, and like maybe that's the joke. Like
right.
Marcia
Like
gets popped and
George,
Jan doesn't.
yeah.
So we found out. We went to Comic Con later that year and found out that Jan was not only a Comic Con exclusive, but she came with her imaginary boyfriend.
Jan,
So
yes,
the
she's
pop is Jan.
winning.
The pop is Jan holding a telephone, and where her boyfriend should be is just a big empty space.
Yes,
And I was like,
best thing.
this is the greatest pop of all time. Like this is legendary.
Well, fuck, that is a great pop. Like if I could get a pop of Bridgette DuBois wearing her red bicycle helmet and
Oh
that
my
like
god, yes.
magenta uh velvet dress they made me wear. Oh my God, I would lose my entire shit. I would be like, yeah, I can die now. I'd be like, this is it.
I
I've
need
peaked.
one helmet, and I would need one of Bridget eating cereal.
No. Oh, this
There
is
has to be one of Bridget eating. There has to be one of you eating cereal.
I have probably consumed thousands of bowls of Cheerios. Like for every shot, I probably ate 4 bowls.
Sheesh,
There was
really?
a reason why I was so rotund for so long. It was strictly the fact that I didn't understand that actors shouldn't be eating when they're on camera. Because you just have to keep eating and eating to match that shot to make
Right.
editing easier. Um, yeah. Oh my God, I've eaten so many bowls of Cheerios, and they're still my fucking favorite thing. I have 2 big boxes of Cheerios just sitting on my
That's
shelf right now.
that's fucking amazing.
I love Cheerios. Like when I went to college, I missed Cheerios so much because I went to college in the UK and they have Cheerios, but they're not our Cheerios. So I was super bummed. So I would like sneak a box or to legally smuggle it.
Like, help, help! I need Cheerios, please. Smoke signal. Send a pigeon. Just send me Cheerios.
Yes. Yeah, just airdrop it. It'll be fine. I'll get it.
I do miss the UK. The one thing I miss the most about UK
Mm.
is Jaffa cakes.
Oh, you're Jaffa Cake fan.
I
Nice.
am. I ate my body weight in Jaffa cakes when I was in the
Oh, those are fun. I lived in Scotland, so I really love tonics.
UK. Ooh.
Oh, like I like the tea cakes, which is like a marshmallow with a graham cracker and then like dipped in chocolate. But what I really love are the tonics wafers. Oh man,
Hmm.
like you've had like wafer cookies.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that, but like thicker and more like caramel in between the layers, and then dipped in chocolate. Oh,
Ooh. That sounds.
those are those are the
Mm.
shit.
I'm getting fatter thinking about it right now.
Good. That's great. I support the hell out of that.
But I feel my tummy just poking out of my shirt already. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat a lot of sweets, but every once in a while I'll be like, yeah, it's tonics time.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's me now with cereal.
Oh,
Like I'm like 32, and if I find myself awake in the middle of the night,
mhm.
and like I feel like they can hear me walking through the house, and I'm like, It's 2 a.m. I'm awake. I think I'm going to have some crunch berries.
Oh, those are good.
I don't care if they cut the roof of your mouth. They're delicious.
They're delicious. The pain makes it better. I'm
Mm-hmm.
convinced. I love that. My big thing when I came home for after graduation was that like the Lucky Charms leprechaun has changed.
Yeah.
Dude, that really fucked me up. His voice is like deep now. It's like and weirdly Irish. I mean weirdly American instead
Yeah.
of Irish. And
They
I'm
got
like,
rid of the accent.
this is not making it better. Like it's still offensive, but at least the original. At least the original Leprechaun like fucking owned it. He was like, "Yeah, this is not okay. We're doing it." This one's like, "They're after my Lucky Charms." I'm like,
I'm like, what?
get the
Who,
fuck out of here!
who
Who
the,
are you? Who
who the
are
fuck are you?
That's like when I found out they replaced Kermit for Muppets Now. I was like, "Who the fuck are you? You're a monster." I'm very protective over green copyrighted characters.
That's probably the one show in recent memory that I remember legitimately being upset when they canceled.
Like the Muppets on
The
ABC.
Muppets. I thought
Oh,
that
dude, I
show was
love
brilliant.
it. Was so good. The pacing, the comedy. Oh, I'm rewatching it right now, and I'm just like, it is time to play the music. It is time to light the lights. It's time to get things started. Why don't we get things started on the Muppet Show tonight?
I love the Muppet Show. The Muppet Show introduced me to so many things that I like now, and so many things that I wouldn't like, that I didn't think I would ever like.
Absolutely. I think about Kermit every day. Like
Really?
that's not exaggerating. I just will be going about my day and then I'll think Kermit. And I'll just be like, oh, he's so good. Um, his whole deal for even getting into showbiz was to make millions of people happy. He was like, I'm content to hang out on my lily pad, but like I could make millions of people happy. Let's do that. I love that. I love Kermit.
That is such an amazing backstory.
He's a beautiful, beautiful bastard, and I love him.
I can relate kind of, because when
Yeah.
we were getting my kid ready for kindergarten last year, we had to go around and meet the staff, and her principal's name is Mr. Waka. So so the whole time he's talking, I'm like stifling my laugh. I'm just like,
Oh no.
so finally my wife goes, "What's so fucking funny?" And I just out loud go, "Waka waka." And
that poor man.
she goes, "You're such an asshole." And I was like, "What? I was fine stifling my laughter, but no, you just had to get it out of me."
I mean, you can't. That's you can't be a person and not have a moment where you're like waka waka.
Yeah. The second he goes, "Hi, I'm the principal. I'm Mr. Waka," and immediately I'm like,
Just like steam coming out your ears. Just
yeah.
like,
It's like I feel like Cosmo in the Fairly Odd Parents.
oh my
I'm
god.
like, must resist stupidity impulse. Nope. This is happening. Waka waka.
It's you know what? It's fine. I'm sure he's dealt with that his entire life.
Oh, I'm
Um,
absolutely certain.
the one I get in my head is like Manamana.
Oh my god, mana mana.
Do, 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 do.
Mana mana.
Do, 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 do. I'm so yeah.
I remember, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there was like a World of Warcraft version
What?
when World of Warcraft was at like the absolute peak of its popularity. But it's
Yes.
phenomena, but it's made up entirely of like, at the time, popular terms that were used.
Oh my god.
So the
That's
guy,
so cursed. I love
yeah,
it.
so they would come up, and it's like the guy would just come, and he goes, "Raffle mouth, do 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 do." Waffle Mouth, do 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 do. And it's like pone that new with Uberly hacks and the
Sorry, I'm just like recovering from a cosmic bitch slap. Let me just give me just like a minute. That's so wonderful.
it's great. I I have to say the Rainbow Connection
Oh,
is one of my all time favorite songs ever.
the most wholesome song ever. Like ever.
It really
I you know, like oh, talking about dreams, talking about the pursuit of one's dream, you know, I love it. And the idea that you can like join Kermit on that crusade towards your dreams, it makes me want to play the banjo and cry, you know?
Kermit has it right, man. Kermit
He
lives the
does.
best life ever.
Look, he's got his priorities set, right? He loves his friends. He wants to make them happy and feel loved and secure. And then he wants to go out there and share that with everybody. Like,
And
wow.
and I have to say, him and Miss Piggy both have handled the divorce so maturely.
Look, it is the most beautiful toxic relationship I've ever seen.
Really is.
Yeah. I mean, they both accept that Miss Piggy's narcissism is awful. They're like, yeah, this is toxic. Like even Miss Piggy, she's like, yeah, no, I went to find myself in like France or whatever, and didn't really work out. But now I know what's going on. I'm like, you know what? I love that. That's great. You're doing it. Good
I
for you, Piggy.
I thank for thanks to Miss Piggy for a long time. Like
Mm.
for much of like starting in like seventh grade and through much of high school, whenever someone was talking to me, I would just go, "Oh,
Yes.
and
I think. Mhm.
and half of them would get it, and then the other half would be like, "Why the fuck are you talking? Like, what is the matter with you?"
Figured out that so I really love dogs, right? I figured out that when I see a dog, I tend to go, "Hi, doggy!" Very similarly to the way that Miss Piggy goes, "Kirby!" Like it's it's so upsetting. I hate myself for it.
Ah,
Um,
I wouldn't. Every dog's a puppy to me. It
it's
could
like
be
doggy.
it's a thing. Dogs are just so wholesome.
Oh, so good. The best creatures. Like I love animals. I love all animals, but like dogs, oh, they are God spelled backwards.
Yep, that tells you everything you need to know.
It does. My own dog is running around here somewhere. She's hanging out with my mom.
I've seen Socks, and she
Oh,
gives me life.
Socrates Elizabeth. You know, she has been on national television.
Really?
Yeah. So my last like live mass TV interview gig was
Right,
being on the talk um, right after Medium ended
right.
and having a little debrief about what's next for Maria Lark. And Socks got to come on national TV. So love
That's
that for her. Sharon Osbourne said that she is the cutest thing she's ever seen. So I'll take it.
yeah. If Sharon Osbourne thinks it's cute, yeah, that's you've reached the pinnacle of cuteness.
It's I'll take it. I'll take it. It's a win. But yeah, it was good.
Absolutely. Especially considering like she's married to Ozzy Osbourne, like Ozzy, and I don't know if you've seen Ozzy in the
Oh
late
yeah.
'60s and early '70s, but it's like,
Mm.
whoa, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Young Ozzy. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah. Young Ozzy can get it. Old
um,
Ozzy, I don't know. I'm not really feeling that crazy train. Know what I'm saying?
I am not aboard for this one.
The little engine that can't.
Yeah, God bless him though.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to hang out with old Ozzy.
Oh, absolutely. If his interviews from that era were any indication, he must have been a boatload of fucking fun.
I mean, even like the Osbournes. That whole reality show thing
I
is
love,
great.
I love that show.
Love that. Oh,
And that Sinatra-esque cover of Crazy Train as the theme song.
oh, what a jam! What a time! What a place! Like as I get older, I'm like the early 2000s though. Wow, wow, it's
It's like,
absolute madness.
it's like now I'm reminded of the early 2000s anytime Yellow Card or Fallout Boy plays.
Oh no,
It,
oh
it,
no.
it was a wild time. I mean, it's not to like reveal my age, but it's like the early 2000s. Like you kind of got lucky because you were still like a child.
Yes.
But by like 2005, 2006, I was already 18.
All right.
So
So that was like your time. You're like,
yeah,
yes, this is it.
it was wild. I mean, we got everything from all the Harry Potter movies we released theatrically,
Yeah,
the 9/11. Yeah, we've been through it all.
right. Two recessions.
Yeah.
All sorts of hell. I'm like I can't figure this out. If I am like I'm a cusper, right? I was born in 97. Am I a millennial or am I a Gen Z? Because I don't identify with a lot of Gen Z folks. Like I don't know what TikTok is. I know Kesha, but like I know Vine. I was there for Vine. I was like, yeah, I'm on this. But
Okay, so speaking of Vine, are you familiar
mm,
with Naya Okami?
what
She,
Vines has she done?
uh, on all levels except physical, I am
Oh,
yes. She, I've actually been in contact with her. She also wants to be on the show sometime soon, and I'm really excited about that.
do it, do it. Look how much fun we're having. We're
Yeah,
having fun. Yeah.
this is crazy fun, and it's awesome because I normally have to wait for cons to talk to like actors and actresses from my favorite television
Mhm.
shows that are long gone.
Right.
And like the second like I tagged you completely on a whim and I was like, I'm just gonna shoot my shot and see if any of these people will do my podcast. And you were so enthusiastic about it and I was like,
Well,
yay.
it's weird. It's like a person wants to speak to me,
Yeah,
to moi.
exactly.
No, no. I don't know. And like is interested in what I have to say. That's wild. Love that. So
And it's like here we are. It's like now, I talk to you on Twitter, I talk to you on Instagram, and it's like now I feel like instead of being like one of the co-stars of my favorite show, it's like now we're like actually friends.
we have manifested. It's
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
this is cool, and I like
No,
it.
I love it.
So you mentioned going to college in the UK.
Yeah. So I went to the University of St. Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was that like any particular reason you chose that one?
Well, so I was a senior in 2015, and I was like, I'm looking at this climate, and Donald Trump was just like starting to like rise, and I was like, we're not doing this. I was like, let's look at other options.
Right.
So I looked up best English programs in English speaking countries because I'm an idiot who is typical American who really only knows English, typical white American. And I was like, I can't learn a new language. I'm not gifted enough at this point. And so I found St. Andrews and I came across their website and I saw their advertisement video. And I was like, oh, I have to go here. Um, and then my mom took me to visit and I loved it. Um, and I applied, and it's been the dream ever since. It was the best 4 year experience I could ever hope to get from college. I had space to really, I think, learn and also to be able to learn socially. And
Right.
yeah, it was just awesome. I love St. Andrews.
Well, that's that's something. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I've learned from a few conversations with you that 19th century literature
Oh,
is your
yeah, that is my shit. If you let me, I will not shut up about it. Like, it is terrible. No, I love 19th century American literature. I always have. I've always read a lot. Um, like I remember reading Huck Finn and Call of the Wild and um, Little Women, and just absolutely loving those books and loving that very, I think, honest and um, yeah, just that really that honest and that gritty type of living, or at least type of writing.
yeah,
And as I got older, being able to read um, other works and really branch out,
right.
getting to like Huck Finn, um, getting to Edith Wharton, or start looking at Harriet Beecher Stowe,
Hmm.
and then start looking at African American women writers, and really falling in love with that and wanting to learn more and learn that academic world.
Right.
Yeah, really exciting.
I think back of when you mentioned the African American authors. It brings us back to our earlier mention of Tarantino.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in one of his movies, and I think it goes so unappreciated,
Mm.
is in Django Unchained
Mm.
when you know Dr. King Schultz, who's played by Christoph Waltz, is having the conversation with Leonardo DiCaprio's Calvin Candy about one of the names he gave his slaves.
Right.
He named him D'Artagnan. So he goes, as I look at this shelf, I have to wonder what Sir Alexandre Dumas would think of how you're treating one of his creations.
Mm.
And he goes, you doubt he approve? What is he, some kind of soft-hearted Frenchie? So he turns around and just like with this stern look goes, so Alexandre Dumas was black. And I remember like the look on his face, and I was like, yeah, that's it.
No, exactly.
And it's crazy to think that like he's in 19th century like black writers, and it's like whereas over here in the 19th century, a black writer, people would have been like, what? Like you're not even supposed to know how to read. How are you writing? But in the
Right.
rest of the world, it was like the norm.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yes and no, but yeah, like I
Right.
totally agree. And I mean, especially after the 16th Amendment was ratified, and even before the war in abolitionist newspapers, African American writers were writing tons of stuff. And it's the idea that these things have been systemically and specifically hidden and obscured, and
Yeah.
that manuscripts have been burned or just not put in archives, put in someone's attic or just thrown away. Um,
Right.
and it's the idea that we get to reclaim that. I say we, but that scholars and that people,
Right.
because there is such a deep, strong inheritance of Black writing, and learning that, right? Because we all, growing up, we read Twain and we read Dickinson, right? And we talk a little bit about Frederick Douglass, depending on how liberal or woke your school is.
Right.
Um, and then we kind of leave it there. Um, and we go, oh yeah, they'll maybe figure that out in college, or then we go, oh, look at Europe. Let's talk about Europe for a while. And those
Right.
are exciting, wonderful authors to look at as well. But I think in terms of where the world is now and where scholarship needs to be.
Right.
I mean, like, we just got a new remake of Little Women, which I loved. I absolutely loved it. But I think that there is just as important a market for 19th century Black writers. And
Agreed.
I mean, so I'm really working on teaching myself about a woman named Frances E.W. Harper, um, who um, wrote extensively across periodicals, and she wrote novels, and she wrote plays, and she wrote essays, and she worked with the Christian Temperance Union,
Right.
and all of this, and um, that she is not a household name,
Right.
or even, and we're getting better at this. We are. We're learning more. We're doing more. Um, but it's about amplifying those voices.
Absolutely. And it's like, I've noticed now in Hollywood, especially since the success of films like, Black Panther,
Hmm.
and everybody's like, oh, well, black people are starting to get recognized, and it's becoming more common, and there seems to be a turnaround. And I'm like, there's not, it's a turnaround,
Hmm.
but, with you guys, always rebooting and remaking movies, or then this novel will get 9,000 adaptations, and it's like,
Hmm.
let's get an adaptation of some of Phyllis Wheatley's stuff. Let's get
Right.
Anna J. Cooper and Josiah Henson. Like, they
Yes.
have great things that we can make, into any sort of adaptation.
Absolutely. And like the idea that PBS Masterpiece Theater could so easily pick up, like here, just flipping through an anthology that I have, like they could pick up um, Elizabeth Keckley's Behind the Scenes,
Yeah,
which was
but
a narrative written about her relationship with Abraham Lincoln and with Mary Todd Lincoln while he was in the White House.
right,
And I mean, just reading that, the whole time I was thinking, this is the scene out of a movie. This is what this is. This is interesting and exciting, and it's
absolutely,
not all just about slave narratives too, which I think is such an easy trap to fall into, right? If we're talking about Black pain as Black culture,
right,
and it's important, and we should, but I am ready to see joy, and I am ready to
yeah,
see community building, and it's there. It's not that it's not there.
and I agree, and I remember there being a big uproar. I remember there being a very, very big uproar when Black Panther came out,
Hmm.
and you had guys like that friggin' overbearing, unbearable asshat Ben Shapiro,
Oh.
and he's like, well, why don't they have, why Black Panther? Why don't they have movies like that about like white kings? And I was like,
Mm.
I, you know what? Fine, I'm not going to touch that. But it's like, okay, so like you want us to be slaves in every movie. You want us to be the help. You want us to be drug dealers. It's like now live in an era where my daughter has now seen 4 superhero movies with superheroes that look like her.
Right.
It's like the only black superhero movie I think in my lifetime, until like movies like Black Panther and shows like Black Lightning started happening.
Hmm.
I think the only thing the black community, like the only true superhero movie we had, was the Meteor Man,
Yeah.
and we had
Right.
Steel to a lesser extent, but I don't even think Shaq wants to talk about Steel.
No.
So
I mean, like Blade, you could make an argument, but he's still an anti-hero.
exactly,
Like he's still a seedy, rough around the edges type of guy.
Yeah. And then we'll make it better. We'll give you a slave movie, but we'll have a black director make it. And it's like, no, that's not what we want. I'm not saying that every black person has to be cast in every role ever, but we need more of like, if we're gonna make a slave movie, why not make a slave movie based on a book written by someone who lived it? Like, give me a movie based on the House of Bondage.
Right. Exactly.
Someone who was there to experience that pain from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens all too often. And it just, I'm glad that there's a turnaround, but there's still much more work to be done.
Right. It's not just about tokenism either.
Exactly.
Like, it's this, just like looking at so many movies and how they will just have a character be a person of color and then never address it or never.
Exactly.
Or how colorism plays into it.
Like, my favorite, which I think is one of the best superhero movies ever. But for personal reasons, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is, to me, is an absolute pinnacle of not only animation, but superhero movies in progress, because I am Black and Puerto Rican. And here's Miles Morales with a Black father and a Puerto Rican mother. And I'm like, yes, someone gets it. That's me. That is me on that screen. That's me with the afro. That is me with my mother speaking Spanish to me. That is me walking down the street. And my kid can look at it and I can say, hey, that's us.
That's awesome.
And that, to me, that was such an amazing feeling. And, my friends, a large majority of my friends are white. And they were like, well, it's a good movie. We all think it's great. And I'm like, I'm glad that you guys all think it's great. I'm like, but you guys don't think it's great for the reason I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, aside from being well done, well animated, well acted, well written, it's like, I've never ever had anything like this in my lifetime. Like, that is a superhero that could very much be any Black Latino kid in the world.
Yes. No, I love Miles. And I love that movie. And I love how tender everything about him and about his story is. Yeah, I mean, that movie is exciting for so many reasons. But, yeah.
Not to mention that soundtrack knocks. I listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
The album's so good.
Love that. I love that soundtrack. Absolutely slaps.
But this was fun, and I'm glad you did this.
Well, thank you so much for asking and having me.
Of course. And anytime you want to come back, there's a seat at the table for you.
I'll be here. It's the pandemic, so I'm not doing anything.
I hear that.
Yeah. So, yeah, just let me know.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm just working on grad school applications now.
Oh, yeah, that's important. On to that next step.
Oh, yeah.
Look, I could be talking to Dr. Maria Lark one day. I want.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I want that. Would be exciting.
Well, I want someone on a plane to be like, "Is there a doctor?" And I can be like, "Well, I can examine a sentence." I'd love to do that. And then go, no, I'm kidding. I am actually certified in first aid. Here we go. What's going on?
What's the deal?
I've watched 20 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Let's go.
Like, I was on a show about dead people for 7 years. I think I got this.
I got it. I got this. Look at this face. I got this.
That is amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
And thanks to you guys at home for listening to another episode of the Blatino Nerd. I will catch you on the next one. And as always, keep it nerdy.